So, being that I'm from a wet part of Nova Scotia, I am rich in alders. Here is a small alder forest that has taken back. This was once a pasture, and it's one of the first trees that starts up in a pasture. This was a pasture about 15 years ago. But for the wattle fence making, these alders, they are treasures. Straight, flexible. This is the characteristic catkins of the alders, the sex parts of the alders. And you know you got alders if you see things like this, especially the round bits. Very similar to... That's a lot of alders. I could make a lot of fences with that. Probably don't even have the time to do all that. But the nice thing about alders too is they're extremely fast growing. And I'm going to show you some alders that we cut last year and how much the growth. This is part of an alder cluster that we cut last year, and the growth is 4 to 5 feet tall on it already. Alders, they never say die. They just keep on going. So it's one of those trees that is excellent for firewood over the long term, and again for making fences and stuff like that. They grow really like weeds. Good weeds. Eat the weeds. I love the weeds. Weeds are precious. So pointing is very easy as long as you have a good sharp axe. Make sure that it's light so that it doesn't make your arm tired. And you point on the thin side of your stake so that it squeezes into the ground as you pound it. So it will go from thin to thick. It's very easy to point. Just work around the stake, taking the skin off, and then some wood, and your point will develop very, very easily. And it doesn't have to be sharp, it will go into the ground. Just like that. That's a fine point. This is the fence that I made yesterday, and I learned a lot by doing it. A process, you always learn a lot, what you're going to do next time. And I'm starting a new one, and we'll go over there and see that now. This is the fence I'm working on now, and the things I'm doing different is that I'm making sure that the stakes are all less than 2 feet apart, 2 feet or less. So one of the things that I learned also is that it's best to start your next row one stake behind the row that you just completed. For instance, I ended this piece here, and I'm going to start the row above one stake behind it here, and then keep weaving in. That seems to give a much sturdier fence, and I like it. One of the other things that I learned is that you can actually stand on top of the rows to compact them, which is a really good idea if you, like I want them really tight so the chickens won't get through. So you just get up, you can actually get on with 2 feet and compact them. And that way they get really, really nice and tight. And this fence is tighter than the one that I did yesterday. You can start to see it. Well, here's the results of today's fencing. Pretty good for keeping the chickens out. I think it does the job. And the cost was absolutely nothing. So that's good on the budget. And I like the aesthetic of it also, so very natural. So there we have, there's adventures in wattle fencing.